Dragon Ball Z fighting games are nothing new. They've been pumping these guys out since the 90s with the Butoden fighting series. Over time, these games got deeper in complexity, from the Budokai series to Tenkaichi to Raging Blast, and what has thus far culminated in Dragon Ball Xenoverse. With a sequel to this game on the way, we may as well look at the original for what it truly was. Dragon Ball Xenoverse puts you in the shoes of an avatar character who you will be controlling for the entire game. Trunks, Dragon Ball Z's prophetic time-traveling world saver, made a wish to Shenron for a fighter worthy of saving history, and boom, that's you. So character creation is your first real task in this game. The character creator has quite a lot of diverse options. They're quality options too. You could explore many different races, from the standard human to the legendary Saiyans, as well as Namekians, Majins, and Frieza race. I'm surprised they couldn't come up with a better name for that than Frieza race. But picking a race means more than just aesthetic. The race you choose influences your stats, and likely your fighting style. Saiyans, for instance, have more stamina than Majins, who are better at controlling energy-based attacks. The story in this game is inconsistent and lackluster, with a lot of Dragon Ball Z's crucial storytelling flaws still managing to shine through. In Dragon Ball Z, they were very adamant in telling us that time travel couldn't influence the future. That was one of the Android Saga's biggest plot points, and yet the entire purpose of this game is to save Dragon Ball history. It's, quite frankly, rushed, and to be blunt, very poorly translated. A lot of the lines simply don't make sense as they were translated directly from the Japanese version of the game, which is a major flaw when you're trying to tell a story, and a lot of things come off inconsistent and are very hard to interpret. Inadequate translating aside, the only thing that matters when you're talking about fighting games is the fighting. So how does this game handle? Well, the style is far more immersive than the last Dragon Ball Z games, such as Battle of Z and Ultimate Tenkaichi, but this doesn't stop the system from feeling both awkward and repetitive. You have a lack of control while moving, and the fact that so much of the fights take place in the air makes the game very difficult to keep up with. Unlike the over-the-shoulder approach that the Budokai Tenkaichi games put in several years ago, this has more of a battle royale approach similar to the arcade games released in Japan only. The arenas are full of enemies, from Cybermen to full-on fighters, but this is simply not complemented by the awkward priority system. Large key-based attacks can be interrupted by small weak strikes, and therefore there's no real sense of strength behind attacks. And while the different amount of moves you can learn is plentiful, a lot of them have the same basic effects, so there's no real variance outside of the fighters. In the end, what you're left with is a rather stale system, and a game that outside of the typical Dragon Ball Z light show visuals is actually pretty boring. With that being said, the game does offer quite a lot of content outside of the main story. There are these side quests called parallel quests that pit you against rather random enemy combinations. To be honest, while there are a lot of these quests, there isn't much substance to them. They're simple fights that bring you from one area to the next, and since the battle mechanics are already so heavily flawed, these quests are forgettable in every sense of the word. Online battles are good enough, and the hub world shows you avatars that you can interact with on a very minimalistic level. Dragon Ball Xenoverse offers a lot of different ways to fight online, including 3v3 battles. Local battles can only be done at the World Tournament stage, and have been dumbed down significantly for this game. This does make sense, as the game's online features are at a forefront, but it does hurt the game in the long run, especially since the predecessors were known for their spectacular local multiplayer. The character roster is expansive, but a lot of the characters are objectively superior to others in a way that is downright unfair. If you want to play local multiplayer, you're going to have to accept that most of the characters are actually useless. It's a game of which Saiyan to pick at any given time, and you're better off using your own avatar character if you want to have a fun, balanced experience. Visuals are okay, and voice acting isn't horrible, but these minor aesthetic details simply can't overpower the significantly flawed mechanics. Overall, Dragon Ball Xenoverse is a very mediocre experience. While it can be fun for a few hours, this isn't a game you will be playing for years to come. It's expansive but shallow, difficult but unbalanced. The Xenoverse experience is worth having at a price drop, but this game fails to live up to its predecessors. Thank you all for watching. This has been another Mustafa's Game Room video review. For more on games you should try this summer, stay tuned for more from The Game Room. For more video game reviews, be sure to hit that subscribe button. For interviews, critical analysis, podcasts, and more, check out Mustafa's Game Room. The link is in the description below. For my review of Devil May Cry, click the annotation on the left. For the first episode of my podcast, click the annotation on the right. Thank you all again for watching, and come back soon for more from The Game Room.